walked into Madrid and made a legend look ordinary. Eala'S clay court warning shot has the whole tennis world talking. Nobody told the tennis world to panic. Nobody sent out a memo. Nobody put up a warning sign at the entrance to Caja Magica in Madrid. And yet somehow, on a warm Wednesday evening in Spain, a 20-year-old Filipina named Eala'S walked onto the Estadio Arances Sanchez Vicario, picked up her racket, and proceeded to remind everyone watching exactly why her name has been impossible to ignore for the past 12 months. Because what happened in that first round of the 2026 Madrid Open was not just a tennis match. It was a statement. And the person she delivered it to was not just any opponent. She was Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, a former French Open finalist, a former top 10 player, a veteran of 15 years on the professional tour who has played on clay longer than Eala'S has been old enough to hold a press conference. And Eala handled her in an hour and a half like it was just another Tuesday. Let us take a step back for a moment and really appreciate the full picture of what unfolded. Because the result alone, a clean 6-3, 6-3, tells you something, but the context tells you everything. Coming into Madrid, Eala was carrying the weight of a clay court season that had been more complicated than her supporters might have hoped. She had shown flashes of brilliance at Linz, picking up a rare clay court win to get her season on the red dirt started. But then Stuttgart came along and handed her a straight sets loss to Leylah Fernandez that reminded everyone, including Eala herself, that clay is a surface that demands a completely different kind of game. The high bounce, the slower pace, the way the court drags at your shoes and forces you to build points with patience rather than pace. These are the elements that make clay uncomfortable for a player whose entire game is built around aggression, early ball striking, and the kind of flat, penetrating left-handed shots that tear through hard courts like a laser through paper. And yet here she was in Madrid, at a tournament that feels like a second home, at a venue where she has now advanced past the first round for 3 consecutive years, taking on one of the most experienced clay court specialists still active on the tour, and making it look almost effortless. Almost. Because the opening exchanges told a different story, and that is what makes this performance even more impressive than the final scoreline suggests. In the early games, Pavlyuchenkova came out dictating the rallies, holding firm through the first 4 games and showing immediately why she remains a dangerous opponent on this surface despite her recent struggles. And B, there was a moment in those opening exchanges where it genuinely looked like this could go sideways for Eala. Pavlyuchenkova is a big hitter with a silky forehand that has tormented some of the best players in the world on clay. And when she finds her range, she can make even top 10 players look like they are swatting at ghosts. She was clearly trying to do exactly that to Eala in the opening games, pushing hard, testing the young Filipina's resolve, probing for the cracks that every rising player eventually shows under pressure from a seasoned veteran. But here's where the story gets interesting. Eala's consistency from the baseline and her improved shot selection kept her service games intact, leveling things at 2-2. MB. She did not panic. She did not start going for too much. She did not let Pavlyuchenkova's aggression force her into reactive tennis. Instead, she did something that speaks volumes about how much she has grown as a player over the past year. She just kept playing her game. Clean, disciplined, purposeful. And then, when the moment was right, she struck. She struck first with a crucial break in the 5th game to grab a 3-2 advantage, then rode that momentum, tightening the screws late with another break in the 9th game to seal the opening set. Tennis.com, 1 set down for the Russian. 1 set closer to the second round for the girl from the Philippines. And the crowd inside that Spanish stadium? They were already fully invested, already chanting, already on their feet in the way that only happens when people are watching someone who makes them feel something beyond just the sport itself. Now let us talk about Pavlyuchenkova for a moment, because dismissing her as simply a struggling opponent would be deeply unfair and frankly inaccurate. At the peak of her powers, Pavlyuchenkova reached a career-high ranking of number 11 in the world in 2021, the same year she finished runner-up at the French Open, the absolute crown jewel of clay court tennis. One Sports, she has spent the better part of 15 years competing at the highest level, accumulating results and experiences that most players can only dream about. She is no pushover. She is no easy name to put on a resume. and the fact that she came into Madrid having struggled through a difficult stretch of form, sitting at world number 116 and still managing to make it through qualifying, tells you that even a diminished version of Pavlyuchenkova is a test that demands respect. Pavlyuchenkova was hampered by fitness problems and took 2 medical timeouts during the match. Inquirer.net, that is worth acknowledging. When those stoppages happened, when the momentum of the match was interrupted and the natural rhythm that Eala had spent the first set carefully constructing was at risk of being disrupted, there was a very real possibility that Pavlyuchenkova could use those pauses to reset, to refocus, and to come out in the second set with a completely different approach. That is the kind of tactical chess match that experienced players use all the time to unsettle younger opponents who are still learning how to manage the psychological side of professional tennis. Eala did not allow it. After Pavlyuchenkova took her off-court medical timeout, Eala was quickest to restart and broke immediately to go 4-2 up in the second set. Inquirer.net, she did not wait. She did not let the pause become a problem. She used it as an opportunity, and that instinct, that ability to read a moment and respond with aggression rather than caution, is one of the things that separates players who are competitive at the top level from players who are merely visiting it. The second set had its own drama, naturally, because Pavlyuchenkova is too experienced and too proud to simply roll over. After dropping serve to trail 1-3 in the second, the Russian responded with a timely break to cut the gap to 2-3. Tennis head, showing that even in a match where things were clearly not going her way, she still had the fight and the court craft to make Eala earn every single point. That brief moment of instability, those traded breaks in the middle of the second set, created exactly the kind of tension that tests young players in ways that no practice session ever can. When a match you feel like you are controlling suddenly becomes uncertain again, the question is not whether you feel the pressure. The question is what you do with it. Eala responded immediately to restore control, settled back into her rhythm, held serve with authority, kept rallies on her terms, and never let the lead slip again, closing out the match with the same 6-3 scoreline to complete a composed straight sets win. MB, 91 minutes of tennis. 4 breaks of serve. A 76% first serve points won rate. And the kind of performance that makes even the most skeptical analysts reconsider the narrative they had been writing about her struggles on clay. After the match, Eala walked to the microphone and switched effortlessly between English and Spanish, telling the crowd that she loves Madrid and that every time she comes here, she feels completely at home. She said that she has been in Spain for many years, and that at this level, every match is a battle that you fight until the very end. One Sports, she called Pavlyuchenkova a great player, praised her experience, and said with complete sincerity that she was really happy to be in the next round. No ego, no drama. Just a 20-year-old who keeps winning and keeps being gracious about it in a way that makes it almost impossible not to root for her.
Welcome back, guys. I'm looking to reach 1,000 subs. Support me by clicking the subscribe button.